I'm not going to say that it was that instance that made me have that point of view, but if I look back now, I've always very much tried to put myself in the shoes of someone else and see it from their point of view and what I think is correct and true. And even in politics or whatever it is, you have a certain view, or you're brought up to believe a certain thing, and it's not until you kind of move almost physically and think, okay, well, now how does this look from where you're standing? And
So yeah, Mark, it is so awesome having you here. We were talking just before I clicked record, and I have been honestly looking forward to this conversation. Like, as you can see, I'm super energized. So, so excited to have you on. Thanks for spending
thank
your
you. Thank
Friday
you for having me.
afternoon with me.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
So just to kick it off, tell people, your high level intro, just
Oh my
for
God,
those who
this is
haven't
the
met you.
elevator pitch bit, is it? Yeah. So
That's it.
my name is Mark Gaisford. I live in the UK, and over the last few years, I've got really into video. There you go. That's my elevator pitch, and I now sell
Ooh.
video services to other people.
That is, yeah, that is super cool, and I love that elevator pitch. It's so simple, but yes, that is
That's
exactly
because I've
what
never
you
thought of it
do.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and video is, oh man, it's one of my on video, but the editing part of it, oh my gosh, and the scripting, it's so hard. So yes, what you do is so
I
needed.
love it actually. So I mean I enjoy the editing process, I guess, more than I do the filming process. I think I quite enjoy the scripting because that's just trying to get out of your head
Ye-
what you want to say, but you want to portray yourself in a way that's quite authentic. So you kind of write as you would speak,
Yes.
and then the filming I find a bit jarring sometimes. But then it comes to editing, and it kind of all the magic happens. So yes, there you go.
Okay, yeah, definitely not how I feel. I hate the editing. I'm like, this cannot be so hard. Like, I don't know, I don't get it. So not my area. Yeah, and you and I spoke once. I mean, we've spoken a few times, but the first time we ever spoke, I got off that call and wrote down 14 video ideas.
Oh my
Just
God, really?
quick little
That's so
30
cool.
minutes.
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, woo! So yeah, you're good at what you do. All right, Mark, my favorite part, let's travel all the way back in time to your earliest, and I'm not going to call it career because it was probably just a job at that time. So what was like your first job ever, like maybe you in high school? I don't know.
I kind of have to caveat this part with I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was age 52, and so a lot of my early years were this crazy person with undiagnosed ADHD. Wondering why I couldn't do anything or concentrate on anything or focus on anything. So that's my caveat for my early career was just a joke. I was fortunate and lucky in so far as my parents put me through private education at huge expense, and I came out with almost sod all because I could not learn in the way that teachers and all these people wanted me to learn. My brain doesn't work like that, and so although a fortune had been spent on my education, yeah, it was all to no avail, really. So I ended up making pizzas for a job. I was a motorcycle courier for a job. I mean, I did all sorts of random stuff. I was completely directionless because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I wasn't qualified to do anything. So I used to just do whatever that I guess took my fancy at the time, which again is another kind of ADHD trait as well. So yeah, my early career was it wasn't a career, and then I dropped into the world of recruitment, and I stayed there for probably 20 odd years in the end, and and kind of moved. So yeah, I mean, I started in as normal recruitment consultant. We were on the temp side, so it was hilarious, and it was industrial temps as well. So placing lorry drivers and bin men and all sorts of warehouse things. This is back, so I'm not sure this relates across the pond, but I mean, we used to pay people. This is before the days of minimum wage, and we used to pay people like £3 an hour. And if they did a bad job, we'd pound an hour them. So we just literally cut their salary and just say, well, you did a rubbish job, so we're going to pay you £1 an hour. I mean, it was mad.
Oh my goodness.
I know it was. And then, of course, all the legislation came in, the minimum wage and all that sort of
Yes,
stuff. We
yes.
could do that
Which
anymore.
now seems necessary.
Yeah, it was necessary, definitely. So yeah, I kind of found my feet in the world of recruitment doing industrial temps, so it's what in the UK we call high street recruitment, I guess. Started then to do some more and more and more. But I was with quite a big company, and so I kind of just travelled up the ladder a little bit, and eventually kind of got to sort of ops director level, and then I just thought, oh, sod this, I'm going to do it for myself instead, and started up. I mean, I'm really fast forwarding and going over things here, but started up my own thing really, which was Red Sprout. So, but those early days of recruitment were, I mean, they were good fun. I mean, you have to be at the coalface, don't you? And it's certainly industrial temps is certainly at the coalface. So it was an interesting time. But yeah, don't mention the fact that I used to make pizzas and drive a motorbike for a career, because that's not. I don't want anyone to know about that.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to speak about. So, what is a motorcycle courier? What is that?
Well, this is so. I mean, again, this is a. It shows how old I am, Candice, because this is pre-internet days, and we didn't even have mobile phones, I think, in these days. So
Yeah.
it was in the days where if you needed to get this piece of paper across to somebody really quickly, the only way to do it was stick it in the post or give it to a motorcycle courier who could then ride it over to. So yeah, we used to move a load of stuff that these days is just an email, and architectural drawings and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I didn't do it for that. I mean, there was no fun in doing that. There was fun. I don't know about fun. I mean, I was driving around central London most of the time on quite a large bike. So it was like 1,000cc Honda. I know, and I very, very quickly realised that that bike just did not do it in central London. What you needed was a little scooter or a 50cc to dive in and out of the traffic. And a 1,000cc bike was way, way, way too powerful. So even then, I mean, I managed to cock up being a motorcycle courier.
Oh man, yeah. And yes, well, maybe I'm also that old, but when I moved to London, I moved there straight after school, after high school, and I still had the map. And so, like, I
Yeah,
remember walking with like a map and turning it around because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, and like trying to get to job interviews. And I'm like, okay, I've got to
exactly.
take the tube to this station and then like walk down this street. Yeah, like Google Maps is my BFF now. Like,
But the thing is,
literally, I'm like, I love you so much.
it's
It's my
interesting that you
favorite
say
app.
that, because these days, I mean, the old map day, I mean, I'm not necessarily one to say that it was better when in the olden days, but you see people now coming out of the tube station and they're going, oh, that way. Because they're trying to work out if their Google Maps is actually centered correctly. I mean, the
Yes.
map was great. Look at it that way. So, um,
Yes, I am that person though. I have no sense of direction. Like even my mother-in-law, like we moved to Colorado and she's like, we go left. I'm like, how do you know that? Like I've been here for years.
it's the ones that, I mean, I've done this so many times where you start walking off in a certain direction, looking at your Google Maps, and then you realise that actually no, we should be walking in completely the opposite direction.
That's a good video idea. Just saying.
It
That is
definitely
so
is.
so funny. Okay, so all right, that is what a bike courier was, like I suppose a really fast postman, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then so you messed that up by buying or having a bike that was too big. So now you made pizzas. Were you customer facing, or were you like in the kitchen?
No, I was in the kitchen.
In
Yeah,
the
I was.
kitchen, okay.
No, they wouldn't allow me to go and speak to people.
Yeah,
So that would have been dangerous. So
yeah.
So yeah, I used to make them. Good fun
Yeah.
that. Don't
Yeah.
ask me the stories about what ended up in somebody's pizza if they weren't a very nice customer. It's all true.
Oh no. Should we ask? We'll cut it out.
Well, there you go. Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go
Okay.
there. I mean, my
So
only advice would be really, really nice to the waiting staff. That's all I can say.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah, that is one of my pet peeves anyway. So got to be nice to those people.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay,
They've got
so
friends in the kitchen, you see. So yeah.
yes, yes, they do. Yeah, I was a waitress for a brief time. It was, yeah, I was terrible. Okay, so all of that stuff, then recruitment. So now tell
Yes.
me, I mean, there are some stories there. I know there are. So who were some of the like more difficult people or like a really difficult situation that that you went through?
Okay. So, um, I used to supply. I don't know what they're called these days. Refuse collection services or whatever it was. Bin men, basically, what it was in our day. And I mean, these were, bless them, the lowest of the lowest paid individuals, and I mean, my God, they do a job. And this is before wheelie bins, so this is picking up black sacks, and and one of them. So there's me as a recruiter, organising all these people to turn up, and you're organising what 20 or 30 guys it was mostly guys to turn up to a 6 a.m. shift and start in the middle of midwinter and blah, and for what was £3 an hour. And so one of them said to me, "You don't know what this job is all about. Come and do it." And so foolishly, I said, "All right, then I'll do it." So turned up at the yard at 6 a.m. In my high vis and my steel toe cap boots, and off we went. And I swear to God, I've never worked so hard in all my all my life. And we were going round some less salubrious areas and picking up the black bins. And I managed to stab myself in the hand with a used needle.
Oh, oh no.
I didn't die. That's the end of the story. I didn't die, so we're all right.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it was
man,
that
that must
moment
have
that
been
you think,
scary.
Jesus God, these guys get paid £3 an hour, and
Yeah.
that's what they're risking, going
Oh,
around all this
yeah.
sort of stuff. And I mean, there are plenty of stories like that that they
Mm.
would tell of the stuff that they came across. But yeah, literally, I did it for one day and managed to stab myself with a
Oh,
needle.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, thank God wheelie bins are here now.
Yes. Oh, wow. That is,
Yeah,
yeah, just one day, imagine. Oh, well, I mean, it's great that you got out there and then you could just understand better. I mean, that's
I
really
think that's important though,
good.
and I think
Yeah.
it's a great one for life in general. Walk a day in someone else's shoes, and suddenly you
Mm, mm,
appreciate things from their point of view. And I'm not going to say that it was that instance that made me have that point of view, but if I look back now, I've always very much tried to put myself in the shoes of someone else and see it from their point of
mm,
view and what I think is correct and true. And even in politics or whatever it is, you have a certain view or you're brought up to believe a certain thing, and it's not until you kind of move almost physically and think, okay, well now how does this look from where you're standing, and suddenly you get very different perspective. So I've always kind of tried to do that. I think it helps actually also when I'm creating content, because first of all I'm putting myself in the shoes of the people that are going to be watching it and thinking, okay, well, what are you going to think if I say this? And it stops you so much when you suddenly do that. So yeah, it was a good lesson. I don't think it was
yeah.
particular that did it, but it's a good lesson in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, very good lesson. Glad you went through that one day. That's quite a mind-opening day.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. It was scary, Candice. Let's just say that it was scary because you
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
spend the next few days thinking, "Oh my God, am I going to die?"
Yes.
So,
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have. Yeah. That was. Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. All right. So. you worked your way up in this company. So
Yes.
you said you were ops manager. Like, so just tell me a little bit about, your career path and yeah.
I ended up as ops director of a big recruitment business, and I was looking after something like 20, 30 branches around London. So my entire life was in a bloody car on the M25, just going from one
Okay.
place to the next place. And I mean, it's utterly soul destroying, being on the M25 pretty much most of the time.
Mm,
And it was getting to that point where, I mean, it's great because you go up the career ladder, you start to earn well, you don't necessarily. I mean, in recruitment, the best place to be is actually on the coalface and in charge of your own destiny, in terms of the fees that you can generate. But of course, career ambition says, well, I want to be going up, 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 up,
mm,
and uh, you go down that career path. But the realization from me was that I'm not very good at managing people.
yeah.
The irony. So you get to that place and you just think, actually, what have I done all this for? What am I trying to achieve here? It's that sort of ingrained upbringing that says that you must do this, you must drive, you climb that career ladder, and you find yourself in a position which is reasonably well paid, and you think, actually, I don't want to be here. This is no longer fun, and so I mean, I think. Again, another great lesson for life is do what you love the most, and then I mean, it's cliched, isn't it? But you'll never work a day in your life. But it is so true. It's not just all about career, career, career. It is about finding something in life, because life is more than just your job. It is a huge part of it, but my God, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. It's not just to pay the bills. And so at that point, I thought, I'm just going to do this for myself now, and get on the old, to get back on the coal face, do this, but do it for me, rather than else. And that's where it got really good fun.
Yeah.
I think it still probably is on my LinkedIn. I think I put up something on LinkedIn saying, I've started my own business, and for the first time I can actually do what everyone else has told me that I shouldn't be doing. Great. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Running a business, being a freelancer, whatever it is, comes with a huge, huge amount of pressure. Um,
Hmm.
Build up teams of people because you're responsible for their lives, their income, their mortgage, their putting food of their kids. So it comes with a huge amount of responsibility. But it also becomes a hell of a lot more fun because you can do what you want to do essentially, as long as you've set a business to do that and to do something that you really enjoy, then have some fun with it.
Mm, mm,
What we did when we started Red Sprout, probably to our detriment to some extent, I think, because we probably didn't chase down every lead and go after every bit of money, because it was more than that. It was about enjoying what we were doing as a team of people, and we put a huge amount of weight on that when we had Red Sprout, and so yeah, we probably didn't maximise every opportunity. I never ever wanted to build a business that was just huge and enormous, because I knew that I was rubbish at managing people. So I knew I built something like that, at some point I would have to exit and bring in some sort of CEO or senior management team that were actually going to run the thing, and then it's not my business anymore, and where's the fun?
mm,
Um,
mm,
all intended that we build almost a lifestyle business, but for a few select people, where we can all really enjoy ourselves and do what we really want to do. So
mm.
that was when I think my career really started to take off, and I was actually starting to do stuff that I enjoyed doing.
That's awesome. So you actually mentioned twice that you're rubbish at leading people. So tell me why you say that, and like what made you aware that, because so many people are like, okay, that's the obvious career progression, right? I'm going to be like this individual contributor, the manager, the senior manager. So what made you just realize like this is not actually for me, and I suck at it. And
I think it was actually it was my ADHD diagnosis a few years ago when I finally realized, oh, I get it. I understand actually why. Because ADHD comes with certain traits. There's a lot of good ones, but there are a lot of bad ones as well. Impulsivity, inability to focus, no no emotional regulation. So if it's in here, it's straight out of here at the same point. So I have a very canny ability to piss people off because I'll just say something and I'll blurt it out, and even then I sometimes don't then think, oh, how did that land? So it's really easy for people to get annoyed with me, and that's probably why I suck at it most, because it's just brute force honesty, and not done in it for a specific positive reason. It's just out of my mouth, and there are only a certain amount of people that can actually cope with that. I was incredibly lucky to work with a lady called Olivia Webb, who was my co-founder at Red Sprout, and she got me. She got it. She understood. But even then, I mean, there are numerous moments where I've had to apologise profusely because I've just said the wrong thing or in the wrong way, or etc. etc. So yeah, you get a large team of people. If I'm in charge of them and I say something wrong to one over there and then don't speak to them for 1 or 2 weeks, I mean, that's just going to churn around in their head because they think I'm annoyed with them, and I'm not annoyed. It's just come out of my head. I said it in the moment. But so I mean, from a people management point of view, that's dreadful. So I'm just not very good at it, and I'm
yeah,
quite happy to accept that it's not one of my skills. And even when we ran Red Sprout, Liv was mostly the people manager, and a lot of the time she would just keep me out of the way. You're just going to annoy these people, so I'll deal with it. So that's fine. I think the other thing, what comes with ADHD as well, certainly my brain, is just this incredible creativity. So that's where I think my skills really, really kick in. For me, there's no point in thinking outside of the box because there isn't a box in the first place. There's just anything goes. I mean, I've literally, well, this wasn't my idea actually. This was my wife's idea. But I did a film shoot yesterday in central London, in Kensington, and I just happened to have captured these pictures of a load of squirrels, and we've just put together a video that is basically a squirrel trying to sell my video course, with a voiceover of what the squirrel is thinking. So it's just bizarre creativity, and sometimes this stuff lands and everyone goes, oh my god, that's amazing, and sometimes it completely flops and it's just, oh okay, no one got that bit. But I've got high hopes for my squirrel video. It'll be out next week on LinkedIn.
okay. I will absolutely be watching out for that. That sounds amazing, I must say. I love the creativity side. I think I've sort of boxed mine in, and I'm only now jumping out of my own box that I created. So that's
Yeah.
really good to know. And yeah, it's liberating, right? It's like,
Oh,
yeah, I
it
get
really is.
to do
And I
this.
think
Like,
also, a lot of people are fearful about doing something different, and letting that creativity really flow. And I literally have no filter. So if it's in my head and it becomes a video, it's just out there. And because I've posted it because I'm impulsive, so it's gone. And so that is quite freeing, but it's also quite dangerous as well because you could just literally kill your business overnight if you did something really, really dumb.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so, but I just love that ability to, and of course, if you work for somebody, there'll be a board of directors or someone else who are picking over every damn detail of it, and it'll be 3 weeks in discussion before it goes out, and it won't go out anyway because they'll think it's to this or to that. And that's also the nice part about working for yourself, is that there's no one to appease, apart from bank manager. So it just goes.
yeah, yeah. It is freeing, but as you say, a lot of pressure. So I'd like to dig into that a little bit. Funny enough, I've got my first employee starting with me on Monday, so I'm super excited, but also nervous. So let's
Yeah.
jump into that. Like, the pressure of running your own business. I think oftentimes it's being an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, whatever you want to call it. It's like glorified or glamorized to a
Bloody
point
hard
of,
work.
I'm going to leave my 9 to 5 and then everything's going to be amazing. So I
It's
just want
not.
to, yeah, like talk about the real life
It's not.
experience.
I mean, it's just a joke. I mean, and you see all this rubbish on LinkedIn about, blah 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 blah. It's incredible. I mean, honestly, the pressure is enormous. The the money worries keep you up at night, and especially when you've got employees, because we've already said this. You're now suddenly responsible for somebody else's life, mortgage, kids, da da da. That pressure is absolutely enormous. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they go into business, because they've got a great idea and they're very good at doing that one thing, so therefore I can do this one thing for other people. What they forget is you've got to sell it. And so it's not, and then it very, very quickly as a business owner becomes nothing to do with the original idea of doing this for them. It becomes selling this so that actually, and your job, your full-time job becomes selling the idea to enough people so that some of them will come and say, yes, can you do that for me? And then you go through this huge cycle, which is, oh yes, great client. And you completely focus on that client. All of the marketing and the sales effort that you were doing first of all when you first started drops off because you haven't got time anymore. And suddenly you find yourself in a trough where, oh shit, I haven't got enough business anymore. So you go, oh my God. So it becomes this whole cycle of ups and downs all of the time. And that is enormous pressure. And so it is no surprise that, so many businesses don't make it through in the end because it's and then, for Liv and I, we got to a place last year where we just said, oh, we just don't, we don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun anymore. It's become just all the pressure and all the anxiety and all the rest of it. Actually, just and so we were brave enough to say let's not do it without really a great understanding of what that meant and what the future was going to be. All we knew at the time was our heart's gone out of this now, we don't want to do it. And so yeah, it's massive pressure, but I think most of the time, and I've got clients like this who are bloody amazing at what they do and absolutely crap at selling it and marketing it to people that would then buy it from them. And so they sit in their little business or their big business sometimes, being brilliant. I mean, you'd absolutely buy from them, but they're rubbish at telling people. And so that is the job of, I mean, I would go further than that, actually. I think the job of many a business owner these days, as well as doing all the accountancy and the money and all the rest of it, I think one of the primary things that business owners need to get their head round in 2025 is that their main job is now to be a content creator, to actually get their message out there. And this is the new sales. LinkedIn is now the new sales. If you're out there, you're consistently pushing your messages out there in a way that people, and again, this is all about putting yourself in the shoes of the people that are going to be listening and watching your stuff. If you're good at that, then you won't have to pick up the phone and you've got a strong pipeline of inbound leads coming through into your business. But you've got to learn how to do that. And that is, in my book, you can be, I mean, this is going to be a little bit controversial, I think, but you can be, I'm struggling for the right word. Mediocre isn't it, but I'll use it. You can be mediocre at what you do and bloody amazing at selling it, and you're going to be more successful than the person who's bloody brilliant at doing it and really crap at marketing it. So we've got as business owners, we've got to get our heads around this idea that the new sales, the new marketing is all on LinkedIn. That's where, especially if you're B2B, I think actually LinkedIn is becoming so much more B2C as well. There's huge opportunities there. We've got to become content creators. Sorry, I'm into a sales pitch now. The glorious thing about LinkedIn right now is that you can do that without spending any money because the organic reach is just so incredible. You can get your message out there and craft it and learn and build in public and make mistakes and all the rest of it until you get better and better and better, which is essentially exactly what I've done with video. My first videos are awful and they're getting better all the time, but I still post them even if even if they weren't that good. I'd still post them and people come on that journey with you. So yeah, I've forgotten what the question is. It's hard being a business owner. It's bloody hard. Don't
Being a
believe all this
bit,
bollocks
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah. Don't
I could, you know,
glorify being a business owner. That was the question.
it's
Like,
just rubbish. I mean,
tell
all
us
this
the real
utter
story
rubbish.
because, and
Yeah,
Mark, I promise you, as you're talking, I'm like, okay, are you literally in my business?
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
It's so hard. Like, yeah, and that is how I feel. I feel like I'm really good at what I do. Like, I know I like when I speak with people in my industry, they're like, wow. I mean, I literally got an email yesterday to say like that was the best 30 minutes. Like you
There you
helped
go.
me so much. And but yeah, I'm like suck at marketing and sales, but I have been reading books and podcasts and obsessing over it for the last 2 years. So I'm going to get better at that. I
This is the
promise you.
difficulty, though, that a lot of
Yeah.
business owners have. It's hugely difficult because you are until you've got the money coming through, you can't outsource
Yeah.
some of these functions to people that are really, really very good at it because you can't afford to do it. So you're in a position where you've got to learn how to do this stuff, and then you're in a position with, well, okay, which bit do I outsource now? I've got really good at the marketing bit, and actually people know me. Do I carry on doing that and outsource the do to somebody else, or do I give the marketing to somebody? So you end up with, and this is business life. It is constant. As soon as the
Yeah.
money comes in, you start thinking, okay, how am I going to invest this money?
Yeah.
Which bit am I going to invest in? Am I going to get somebody else? Blah, blah, blah. So it's just a constant treadmill, which some people. And I completely get this. Why the hell would you put yourself through that if you can have a job and you just get paid at the end of the month, or you're in charge of your own fees through recruitment, whatever that is? Why the hell would you set this up and do it for yourself? And it's because largely there's so many people bullshitting you on LinkedIn saying it's easy and you can earn $1 million overnight with just 3 posts. It's all rubbish. It's
Yes.
hard, it's
Oh,
hard
I
graft.
hate that. That is just one of my biggest things, and actually something that holds me back from saying my transformation story because I'm like, I don't want to lie. I
Yeah.
don't want to say like, oh, come on my course and you'll definitely get a promotion within like 3 seconds. Like it's
I have to say this as well.
such crap.
The irony for me has been I've never been afraid to say what is the truth. So I'll never sugarcoat anything. It is bloody hard work, and I will say it publicly. And that I think is what has attracted people to me. It's just this is it. This is true. I'm never gonna bullshit you. This is yeah, it's hard work or whatever it is, whatever that message is. Give them the truth, because certainly when it comes to client relationships, if you're not authentic and honest and genuine, it's going to break down at some point because they'll see through you. So you might as well be upfront at the start.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and that's the difference between social media, right? If you're working one on one with a client, I don't think you're going to say all these like over the top promises, but on
No.
social media, somehow people think, yeah, do these 3 posts and you'll become a
Yeah, it's
gazillionaire.
rubbish. Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
the
not
other nice thing about it as well, though, is from a sales point of view, social media actually is the best sales qualifier, because if they don't like me, they're not going to message me. Great, because it wouldn't have worked. Because if we don't like each other, we're not on the same page, it would have never worked. I want people coming to me because they like what I'm putting out there and they agree with it, or they like the sound of it. Then we're probably going to get on. So it's a
yes,
great qualifier.
that's
And that's the other message. You cannot, and nor should you try to please everybody, because you'll never be able to do it. Be yourself, be genuine, be authentic, and the people that like that will gravitate towards you, and that's great.
yeah, absolutely. All right, talk now about one of the more pivotal moments in your career journey, something that happened that really changed the trajectory, I struggle with that word, of your career. Like, was it a decision, a person, a
I think it's
post?
now actually. I think the biggest. So I mean, yeah. I think it's been the last year. So for me, everything has changed in the last year. So I don't talk about this online, but I in the last 3 or 4 years, 5, 6 years, can't remember how long it is. I got divorced. Last year, I got married, and so which was great. And we flew away on our honeymoon to Mauritius, and we landed, and the world changed, literally changed. So we landed. This is that going back last June. And so at that point, Liv and I decided that we were going to kill off Red Sprout because our passion had gone, and I was going to go and work for one of our biggest clients. And within 2 months, they ran out of money. And suddenly you're in that situation where you go, oh, okay, fine, that's changed then. So I very, very quickly had to decide what I was going to do. And I don't want to work for anybody. I mean, I'm as bad an employee as I am a people manager. So it's just never going to work. So my thought at that point was, okay, well, let's start a new business. And so I did, and I now run a business called Brand Sprouts, which is heavily around video, and it's just me. It's me on my own. There's nobody that I can piss off, so which is great. But I think because I'm now just turned 58 years old. But also in the last year, my father, who's 85, has gone into a care home with dementia. So I've now got responsibilities outside of just me and my family and work. He's literally a mile down the road. And so there are responsibilities there. And so I think career-wise, I don't know about whether it is in your 50s, but when those outside influences start to sort of come in and pressurize a little bit, you do kind of shift and change what your attitude to life is and what you want out of life, and how you're going to go and pursue that and achieve that. So I think, for the first time in my life, I don't want to build a big business. I want it to be me, and I don't want to work for anybody. And family is really, really, really important for me right now, because I've got not only my dad down the road, but I've got my mum, who's a mile further than that, who's now living on her own in her 80s and needs more support. That to me is what matters in life right now. So yeah, the biggest shift in my career is actually I just want to do something for me, and the people that are important to me.
Okay, yeah, that's it's a good realization to have, and I've been having these conversations, and it's just a nice thread, and what I'm seeing a lot is the priority over it,
That's
because, yeah, so for me, I mean, last year I was like all in work. I was missing weekends with my family. They were going off and, doing their thing, and I was just like, no, I've got to do this work. So, now this year I'm like, no, that's just no.
I
No,
think, but I think
doing
this is
that
also
anymore.
it's also interesting, this piece. I mean, there's been so much commentary about work-life balance, which is a load of rubbish anyway. So if you're, we come back to our previous conversation. If you're starting a business, it's 24/7, and even if you're not sat at a desk, it's going on in here. It's constant. It is literally constant. You cannot switch this stuff off. It's not like leaving the office at 5 o'clock and thinking, okay, I'll come back on Monday. That just doesn't happen when
Yeah,
you're running a business.
all
It's
on you.
very, very difficult to get yourself. Well, it's impossible for me. It's impossible to get yourself off that treadmill, and you have to. And I'm still learning. I mean, I'm 58 years old, and I'm still learning about the idea that actually, when I leave here and I go and spend some time with the family, I'm going to be all in with the family and try and get rid of what's in my head. That's really, really difficult to do that. But it's important, I think, for our own mental health, that we've got to look after ourselves. So, but for me, priorities have shifted now, and it is more. I mean, I say this, and I'm already in my head going, "You're just talking bullshit," because the amount of hours that I spend at this desk and out with clients is unreal, and this week particularly has been absolutely mad. But yeah, I mean, I tend now to knock off at 5 o'clock and go, right, that's it. It's still going in my head, but for me, work has finished at that particular point, and I will go off and do other things. I mean, this is tough. It's hard work when you do it for yourself.
Yes, yes. And when you enjoy it, like, so for me, I was like, I want to work. I love what I'm doing. I like want to grow this business. So that's the hard part. So just on this, and maybe you have a completely different answer to this question, but what would you say is something we're not talking enough about when it comes to building a career? And that could be in corporate or your own thing, doesn't matter. But what is just something that's happening in the world right now that we're not speaking enough about when it comes to building this career, work, life thing that we enjoy?
Oh God, that's a huge question.
It
I
is.
think there is oh God, where do we go? I think there is a huge. So we put on a face and a persona when we walk into the office. It's not necessarily genuine. It's not true. And we hide a lot of stuff. I think we hide what's going on at home or somewhere else, and we put on this persona. I think. Only because I was filming with a client yesterday and they're in this space. I think companies are playing a game with well-being programs that are largely just giving people perks rather than actually getting to the core of what their employees need. I think the biggest mistake a lot of corporates and a lot of businesses in general are making at the moment is this correlation between the health, fitness, mental, whatever it is of their employees has a direct correlation to productivity and profit. And at the moment, I think those two things are largely seen as separate items. We've got to provide perks to satisfy this new generation of people that want this stuff. So we'll give them a mindfulness app and a fruit bowl and something else and a gym membership. And there we go. We've kind of done our bit. But actually, Mark is struggling because he's just been diagnosed with cancer, and probably actually it would be a hell of a lot better if we could actually support him by having some specific cancer therapy or some cancer counselling or grief or whatever that is. I think we've got to recognise that we've got human beings as our employees and treat them as such and deliver what they need most, which then makes them more productive and more profitable for the business. And I just don't think that correlation's been made yet. I think we're still playing around at that game. And I think that also comes from not only from a corporate perspective, but I think it also comes from the employee's perspective to be more authentic and open and honest. This is what I'm struggling with. Can you help me? And not in fear that means that you're about to be ousted through the front door because you're no longer a valuable member of the team. And I'm probably being incredibly naive about all this stuff, but wouldn't it be nice if that was the case? And I think if we can get somewhere like that, it would be fantastic. And I can't remember what the question was, but I was also on the way home from this film shoot yesterday. I was in the car for 2 hours and I was listening to this. I think he's the godfather of AI, and he's talking about. So this is the guy that pretty much invented it or came up with the original concepts
Yes.
of this
What's
stuff.
his name? Is it Mo?
No, he's a British professor who now is teaching at the University of Toronto in Canada. I can't remember what his name is,
Okay.
but there was this piece on LBC Radio
All right. I definitely
yesterday.
want the link to that. So
Yeah,
you'll
so
send it off.
the Andrew Marr program on LBC
Okay.
yesterday, so that will have been the 30th of Jan, was talking to this professor who is the lecturer at University of Toronto, and he was talking about AI. And he basically said it's already an alien species that has it has a mind of its own, and we have no idea to how to control this thing. And you think, okay, all right, I'm 58 years old, but gee whiz, have we got a lot to get our heads round over the next, I think even thinking in sort of terms of short, medium or long term, I think the next 10 years are going to be so revolutionary that we're going to have to adapt very, very quickly to what the new world of work looks like. I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest challenges that we're going to be facing as a working bunch of people.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I was asking about Mo. I think it's Mo Gawdat. I can't say his last name, but it's Gawdat. His last name, and he was the COO at Google. So
Yeah,
he like saw the machines learning,
yeah,
and he wrote a book which I will recommend to every single person ever. All the people talking on LinkedIn about AI who haven't read that book are being so irresponsible. And I
yeah,
know that's probably controversial, but it's eye-opening. So
yeah.
it's called Scary Smart. And he's not all doom and gloom about it, for sure not, but he paints a really realistic picture
I think
of
there's a
it. So yeah.
naivety at the moment as well. I think everyone is
Oh,
naive to the extent that we
like,
think,
oh,
oh,
this is a
isn't
tool.
yeah, it's a tool. I mean, what this guy was saying yesterday was that the tools are fantastic, and the tools from a health perspective will be able to diagnose your condition and help you get to to what you need quicker. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But as soon as AI has agency, where it has some sort of control and it can actually start making decisions for itself, which he said was already here, that's the point at which this stuff gets really, really quite serious, and we have no understanding of how to safeguard against it. Scary
No.
stuff.
Yeah, we can't. So that's the whole thing. So it's all about, yeah, you got to read this book. Or I mean, I listened to it. He
Yeah.
narrates it. He's great. And then he also has a podcast called Slow Mo, and it's really good. So yeah, I want that podcast that you listened to
Yeah, yeah,
yesterday
yeah.
too. We'll swap
I'll see
links.
if I can find it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you got it. All right. So, okay, yes, and I agree. So, and my question was, just what are we not speaking enough about? And so I think those are two really, really, yeah, it's a big question, and we could probably go down a rabbit hole for,
It's huge.
the
Yeah.
next few hours speaking about that stuff, but let's not do that. So, all right. Now, you said you were diagnosed with ADHD at 52.
Yeah.
Has that changed, your approach to life, or, the way you view yourself and the way you approach your work?
Oh, 100%, without any shadow. It was absolutely eye-opening for me, because it answered every question about, why I am like I am. And before then, not that I want to make this in any way depressing or morose, but you're labelled. I certainly was as a kid as being lazy or unintelligent, and etc. 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 And you carry these sort of labels through with you because you believe them, because you've been told them so many times, and it's not until that certainly for me, it wasn't until that diagnosis and it was almost like the blinkers being removed, and you think, oh, okay. And I went massively down the rabbit hole into, okay, so how does my brain work and how is it different? And the self awareness is just the most freeing thing in the world, because I don't look at myself now in that negative sense. I look at myself and say, yeah, well, I've got ADHD. That's why my brain works like this. And so I can forgive myself. And I can also now start to work around those things that I know I would never, I'm absolutely rubbish at. People management, for one thing. I mean, give me a form and it will sit on my desk for weeks because I hate to the core filling in any form whatsoever. But and that was used to be, people would say, "Oh my God, well, you just do it. You're so bloody lazy. Just fill in the form." I literally would do anything than fill in a damn form. But people know that about me now, and they go, "Oh my God, I'm not going to give you a form. I'll do this for you." Brilliant, thank you very much, lovely. And we were all so much happier. So yeah, it's crazy, and I think the other crazy thing is that there are so many people worldwide that are living with a neurodiversity and have no clue. And there's a genetic link here. I know it came through my father. He's spent 85 years on this planet being undiagnosed ADHD. And I'm so glad I went through this. And there are so many tests you can do online, and they are very, very good to start to sort of just make you think, okay, look, does my brain work in a slightly different way? And it heads you down a particular route. And I can only suggest, it's just been an incredibly positive experience for me. Just knowing, because you know who you are, you know why you think the way you do, and why you react the way that you do. And so it answers so many questions.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so true. Because, and even when I do training things, some of the best parts is just doing a self-assessment, or, oh, I'm a green personality or whatever,
Yeah.
like people just love learning about themselves. I certainly have, and it does give you that um yeah, that just knowledge of, okay, this is why I am what I do. And yeah, I mean, don't give me a form. My filing literally piled up for a year and a half. I did it like 2 weekends ago. I was packing away Christmas cards from 2023.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
um, I'm similar in terms of like, oh, that attention to detail drives me nuts. But
It's mad as well, though, because I mean, I don't know if you saw it on the TV last night, but Trump's been saying what Trump says, and about the air traffic controllers after the Washington crash,
oh
and
my
immediately
goodness,
blaming the air
I just
traffic
try
controllers.
and bury my head in the sand sometimes.
The reality, I mean, he's now accusing neurodiverse people as being not suitable or not high enough caliber or quality to be able to do that job. And I was screaming at the radio as I was listening to it last night, saying, do you know what? I would much rather have someone with autism sitting in air traffic control, because the way their brain works is exactly designed for that job. And you've got this idiot Trump talking about the fact that he doesn't want this and that and the other because he's ignorant and foolish about it. I think that's another thing about that question around what can businesses do better. Bloody well understand just what neurodiversity actually means, and the qualities of those individuals that can and skills and experience and the way their brain works that can bring into your business, because it's a bloody benefit. It's not a negative. If in the right role, and this is what we should do, that we place people, and this is all about recruitment, get people in the right roles. These people would be amazing for your business. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it. Learn. Get rid of the ignorance, and welcome it with both arms.
Oh, I love that. You know what? I'm actually going to bring that into my solutions, because I do a lot of learning strategy. So that's actually such a good thing. And actually, I'm so glad that you're aware. So I have a son, he's 9, and he's been, diagnosed with dyslexia, and it's quite severe. He's got all 3 types, like,
Yeah,
and so in school, and he's literally, and I will say this, the smartest person I know. Like, he
yeah,
will tell you all about like World War II history with the dates
exactly.
and this tank and that. And I'm like, how do you know this? It's like insane.
But you find that these
But then
people,
at school,
they're
he's like
interested.
in the red for
Exactly.
everything.
They're
Yeah.
interested in it, and they want to know absolutely
Oh,
everything about it. And so,
yeah.
we should embrace this stuff and not be
Yes.
scared of it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Now that we know, because I was also like, you're so smart, but you can't read the. Like,
Exactly.
we've just seen the, and now it's the next sentence that also starts with the. And, I'm like going mad, but now I can be a better parent because I
Exactly.
know, like,
Yeah.
I know, I get it. So yeah, it is liberating. Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. So yeah, awesome to chat about that. And I think workplaces can do themselves, yeah, a great favor, because yeah, if my son ever has to do like an entry test, he won't
Yeah.
even pass the spelling part. But like
Exactly.
every company will be very like unlucky not to have him. So
Exactly.
yes, absolutely. I love that you brought that up. All right, so I know we can chat forever, I feel like, but I know it's also your Friday afternoon, and we
Wine
almost
o'clock, Candice.
close
It's
to
wine
the
o'clock.
hour. Wine o'clock, yes, I get that. Okay, Mark, so now let's close the loop. Let's go back again to your younger self. What would you thank yourself for doing then?
Well, so what would I thank myself for doing when I was younger,
What would you thank yourself? Because I think oftentimes we're very hard on our 20-year-old selves, but honestly, like I appreciate so much about my 20-year-old self. So what would you thank yourself for doing then that really got you set up for
I think
success?
actually the biggest thing for me is not accepting um, the how do I word this? Not accepting or realizing that rules are there to be broken. So not accepting the fact that just because someone says do it like this, there isn't a better way. And so it's also for me, and that has really driven. That's just all throughout my life is this idea of there isn't a box. So well, why are you doing it like this when actually it's so much easier to do this, or so much, or whatever it is. And I think I did that and learnt that from my 20s, and it actually came as a result. This is probably too much detail, but it came because my father was quite an authoritarian figure, and instead of kowtowing and accepting it, I rebelled and stood up. And so I think that for me has defined a lot of my life, actually, in the sense that I'm not afraid of authority figures, and I will not accept no as the answer, and I will challenge it, because, not just for the sake of it, but I'm never going to be afraid of speaking out what I think, and I've kept that with me throughout my entire life. I think that is an ADHD trait as well, because it is that sort of emotional dysregulation where if it's in here, it's out of here. But I learnt that in a different way, even in my 20s. That was no, you don't have to. This isn't just because they say that, it isn't true necessarily, and you can challenge it. And I think that's, yeah, I mean, I think employees, going back to all the conversations that we've had, that ability to be able to articulate your point of view in a way that doesn't necessarily get people's heckles up or whatever. It's not about stamping on banging your fist on the table and saying I'm right. It's just asking questions until you get the to the bottom of it. So sorry, I'm literally thinking of this as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
That ability to say, can you just explain that in a little bit more detail? I don't understand. Can you just tell me why you think that's true? And that questioning, that constant questioning until you've got the full picture. For me, is a trait. Yeah, I mean, it's defined my life. I'll never. If someone says, "Do you understand what I mean?" I'm never. If I don't, the last thing I'm going to say is, "Yes, of course I do." No, I don't. Tell me more. I want to understand. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's always been through with me.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Mark, let's tell everyone how they can work with you. Please tell more about your course. I've seen it launch. So say about your course and your services. Like, how can
Okay,
people?
so I'll do a quick elevator pitch then. This, for me, we've touched on this during our conversation. For me, every business person, entrepreneur, solopreneur, freelancer, whatever if you're in a position where you need to be attracting clients to come to you, you've got to accept the fact that that a proportion of your job now is that of being a content creator. You've got to get your message out there in a way that your audience, your target audience, will consume or happy to consume and will resonate with that message. And for me, for most of my clients, and I think for B2C clients as well, that is LinkedIn at the moment, just because of the organic reach. So for those that don't know, LinkedIn have just launched a new video feed, and when any of these social media platforms launch something new, you get the opportunity. They give you this opportunity because they want to advertise it. So they start giving you massive amounts of exposure. So now is the time to be making those videos to get them out on LinkedIn to spread your message to attract the clients, and that's what I do. So if you need some help, talk to me.
Fantastic. All right, awesome. And what does your course teach people how to do?
That teaches them how
For
to do it themselves.
themselves?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, okay, awesome. That is fantastic. Well, Mark, any final comments, thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I don't think so. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I apologise to everybody who's had to sit through an hour of this and listen to me waffle on.
I don't think so. It has been my absolute honor having you on. Honestly, thank you so much.
Lovely. Thanks, Candice.
Bye.